G'day and welcome back for more Space Engineers Survival. There's something you can see right in front of me that I believe will upset a few people, so I'm going to see if I can fix it. I should probably open the doors first. And this brings me on to another thing, which is I asked you guys to help me out in remembering a script that I had come across for controlling these doors like a garage door opener, and the script I was thinking of was written by Sir HC because it was the one that was directly sent to me by Sir HC to help me out with this inventory full, that's not good. I need to ditch some stuff. What I'm doing here is seeing if I can align these glass door pieces so that they're not all a bit random. We need corner. So that's the way I think I want it. Is that the same on both sides? Yes. So what I've got is a situation where on this inner one, we've got it along the bottom. This one we've got along the side. This one we had it along the side, and this one we had it along the bottom. So it was all just because I have a tendency when I'm building things around corners just to rotate like this. Whereas if I wanted to make sure everything remained the same, I should probably do some rotations other ways. But it's an easy fix. And it does look better if everything is the same on a big door like this, because it's pretty obvious when you look at it closed. To be fair, I had not noticed it, but I suspect quite a few people had. And I think, since I am a little bit obsessive about appearances, it would make sense if I made it all matching. There we go. So now, all down the side, all down the side, all down the side, and all down the side. Done. It is rather frustrating that those blast doors do have that element to them. Okay. Now, onto garage door openers. So, the other script that was recommended to me is called Fart. I'm not actually going to use Fart because, apart from the fun of saying Fart, it is a bit more, well, it's a tiny bit more complex to set up, in that Fart requires you to have two different scripts and load each script separately on each grid. Whereas Sir HC's script is a single one, and we just change a value in the script itself to set up whether it's on a base or on, well, on the transmitter or on the receiver. So we'll set that up. We're going to set that up a bit later this episode because I want to upgrade the server room upstairs to allow us to have the room for the programmable blocks and things we need. And I haven't decided yet, but I think what we're going to do to get an antenna onto the base is actually just put a big one on top of the cabin, which may look a little funny, but I didn't really want to just plonk a hidden antenna somewhere made out of a small grid attached to a large grid rotor. So, before we get onto any of that, let's get our conveyor system set up a bit better. Right now we've got all this temporary hookup still here, so what we need is a cargo container over here and to hook it up to the system so that we've got an access point. So something like this in here will do the trick nicely. But before I go and block up my access to where I'm trying to build from, let's drill down and find our ways to our tubes. Here they are. So we're going to need another different attachment here. I probably should rework all of this, since this doesn't need to be here like this anymore. I can have these tubes coming straight across. Maybe we could even do something like this. If we have, let's grab our pipes, put one in, I need to get myself out of the way. Put one in there like that. Then underneath that we go with, actually maybe I should come all the way down. Yeah, I'll do that. Was thinking I'd just go horizontal there, but what we'll do instead is bring this down to, yeah, this block. Go with this. one in there. Then what we need here is possibly this will work. Oh, maybe I should have gone up one higher. I sort of enjoy the challenge of trying to get these pipes to line up in a somewhat efficient manner. There are so many different things you got to keep in mind with how they're lining up. And I think what we'll do, that it's kind of an interesting thing to try and work out. So, to do this in a somewhat sensible manner, let's start with a pipe that is lined up with the ones that we're actually going to continue from, which are those ones down along here. And while we're at it, let's switch over to yellow colouring so that I can see what I'm doing when I finish them. So we got that coming in there. If we want to join up with that, what could we do? I want something that's going to be able to go side on. So if I do that, and then that, so that joins up nicely. That joins up nicely to my cargo container above. And then all we really need to do for this part would be to dig down. Is there a simple way that instead of having to dig down, I can just bring this one up a level? So if we instead do this and go one like that, that like that, because then I can use this to join up to the ones that go into the elevator shaft. Like that. And now, this bit, what can I do here? If I have one of these... Oops, wrong way. Come on, that way. One of that. Yes! Yes! Works brilliantly. Ha! Easy. There we go. It's exactly what we're after. That's actually relatively neat for me. Cool. So that's how I can join up all those bits and then eventually place the cargo container up there. Ooh. No, I can't. I need to do this differently. I need to get rid of that. And I need to place one of these there. Like that. That will join up to the cargo container. Cool. That's actually ended up pretty well. So, what we need to do is start grinding these out and start welding up their replacement parts so that we can actually get moving forward. And this is why I very much like the yellow. It is making it so much more obvious what I'm doing. I can't grind out that last bit just yet, since I need it so that we can still have access to the cargo system from the upper levels. But once we get the elevator shaft done, we can grind that all out. I'm going to use this as my access point for now, which means I can, assuming I've still got an interior plate on me, which I bet I don't, and I don't, can use this opportunity to place in our cargo container, which will be back on white. There we go. So that'll be our access point. Since I've got such a large construction to do with all of these pipes, my usual way of doing it is just grab the components one by one. Since I am going to be welding this by hand, I'll just finish off all of the steel plate, then finish all of the interior plate, then finish off all of the large steel tubes, and so on, until I finally get around to here, and then remind myself that I still haven't finished off the assembler and the refinery rooms. Maybe we should start making some more progress on that next time. Maybe. Let's get all this welded up, and I'm in such a tight space that this isn't going to be done as a time lapse. This is just going to get done. Oh, forgot that I could access stuff from up here, so I can work in both directions. Yay! Huh? Oh no! I've disconnected everything. This is not good. Whoops. I have disconnected the large cargo container from the system. So I'm going to have to use the newly manufactured parts. Oh, we've run out of iron. Awesome. That's just what I didn't need. Great. Well, I guess I am using the parts from the large cargo container, which means I'm going to have to fly all the way to it. Which is just wonderful. Just wonderful. Should have thought that through, Splitsie, you dope. I knew I'd run out of nickel, but I had not realised that I had also run out of iron. So, I think this could be a lot of fun. Or terrifying, or both at the same time. I think next time around, probably not today, since I don't think we have I do think we have enough for what we're trying to build today. But next time, oh, we're totally going on a mining trip for nickel and iron. Where we're going to have to protect ourselves from the evil pirates. Should be fun on one. So I am so low on large steel tubes around this place that I've actually started grinding down the temporary connection to try and get some back. Unfortunately, I'm not sure it's going to be enough. How much more do I actually need? I've got those ones done. Where are we up to? We are up to... Okay, we're in the elevator shaft. We need... That's done. Oh, we need 6. I think there are 6 somewhere. I think one or more of the vehicles has some in its connector. But what connector? I wonder if it's one of these ones. Do you? You've got 6! Yes! Oh. So this does lead me on to another problem though. Well, yes, I do have enough in order to get this connection fixed. I do not have enough for any of the other conveyor systems to get completed, which is a problem. I'm out of iron, and I have no connector anymore for the goose. There was some failure of forethought here. Oops. That is a bit of a problem. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to deal with this issue, since it's kind of risky for me to take the goose out without having done its upgrades, and I'm probably going to need some iron. And that was close to running out of hydrogen. Probably going to need some iron to do its upgrades. This is not ideal. I'd been so excited to finish off and have all this connector system set up properly that I really should have checked what was actually left over from everything, because I very clearly did not check. Since we really don't have enough to do this properly. Grrr. I don't even have enough to connect this up because I haven't done its connection under here. What do I need for that? Oh, yes. Oh no, I need these 2 bits. Grrr. So, just to help me think through this problem, I've got no connection for the butterball, and I've got no connection for the goose that actually hooks up to the general... Oh, it stopped producing because I disconnected it. It ran out of... Oh, I've still got plenty of iron. Well, that's all fine then. Production. Let's get some large steel tubes, so we're going to need a lot of them. Alright, never mind. Phew. Don't need to worry about this then. But what it does tell me is the very first connector that gets hooked up is the butterball. So I've got to go straight shot for it. I wonder if Igor has some of the stuff that I need. Oh man. I didn't even have to worry about iron. It has 187 tubes in it. So not only did I forget that I had heaps and heaps and heaps of iron left, but I just disconnected it from the assemblers. What I've also forgotten is that Igor is full of really useful components, like almost 200 large steel tubes. So let's put Igor in an accessible position. We can use him for our cargo access. This is quite a frustrating construction because I have such a convoluted way to get everywhere. It's not very easily accessible from anything. What I will probably do now that I've finished that bit is actually grind a hole in the hangar floor so that I can get straight down to our conveyor tubes from the surface, which will make access much faster. Now, let's find out where that is, though, and grind from below. There we go. Nice, easy access. I'm usually pretty bad at remembering to do things like that. Oops, almost drove in the hole. Where you can easily just temporarily grind something out to make your access much faster and save yourself a lot of time. But at least on this occasion, I actually remembered to do something sensible. Now that I'm down here, I should probably do something else above to make my life a little bit easier, and that is dig another hole in the floor where I need this thing to turn so that I know where to put the junction plate in. Because right now I am digging blind. So I want it to line up with here, I reckon. Yep. Oh, look at that. I wasn't actually far. Excellent. And then, like with the other ones, let's pop in a junction there. We'll leave this hole in the roof for now, so that I have another access point to get down here with. There we go. All placed in. So we'll have a connection all the way from the Ugly Duckling's new connector right through to the rest of the base once I weld up all of these blocks. And there are a lot of them. Alright, and the butterball is connected. We've just got a few more to go, and the rest of this side will be. Oh, I'm so glad I was wrong about how much iron I had left and that I was just freaking out because I disconnected something that I hadn't realised I'd disconnected. Oh, much better outcome than having to figure out how I was going to wrangle some connector in. Okay. All three hooked up. Suppose I should go test to make sure I haven't missed a bit, or at least check. Let's fly through and just make sure everything's yellow all the way. Good, 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 good. Oh yeah. It's all looking very promising. But I'm stuck. Yeah. This is not an easy space to move around in. Ow. Okay. Butterball. Let's have a look at you. The cockpit's not hooked up, but your connector is. Alright, connector. Let's grab some. I should be able to move a teensy bit of silicon or something into that connector. Yes, I can. Okay, good. It's all good. It all works. Excellent. So that means all three of these connectors are hooked up properly. And now I just need to connect up these ones, which should be relatively easy. Now there is a thing that a couple of people mentioned that I thought I should bring up here with the Buttercups connector. One, a few people wondered why I put this so far back, as in I'm going to use the buttercup a lot, and I'm not going to use the nugget much at all, and the nugget's got prime position. Well, that's because when the buttercup is parked, I want this piston lowered, and that's going to make for a very tight gap for any ships to fly through and fit into. So it's better that this is at the back, since it's going to block, it's going to obstruct entry more than anything else. The second thing was, why didn't I put this connector hooked up against the back wall? If you have a look from here, you can see why. It isn't actually lined up with the center block. It's one block towards the rear of that. Because if it was lined up with the center block, the cockpit would end up over here, or I'd have to park facing the other way, which might work if it was on the back wall, but I just hadn't thought of it that way. Because of all the other vehicles being parked face out towards the main hangar entrance, I thought it made... the pattern formed in my head and I did it this way. I don't think I can have the piston set back in the wall either, because then I think the piston head, the top piston part, will actually scrape against these armor blocks, so that won't work. So it does need to be where it is, which is unfortunate, but just a reality of it. But I suppose if I'd put it in here, I could have... Gonna have to put a bit more thought into that one, because it could work. I don't know whether I'd be happy with it being the only one parking the other way, but it might be something to do. It won't really matter if I do the hookups first and then rework it later. I do kind of like the idea of digging it in there, but I would have to dig out more of this wall for it to work, which would probably look okay. Things to think about. Things to think about. So let's fill in our holes in the garage floor. There we go. All nicely done. And something else I'm going to do just quickly while I'm remembering it is... I think I agree with people that when you look down into the tick's parking spot, the tick is all in shadow. Yes, it makes it all Batman mysterious-y, and I do kind of like that, but I think it will probably look better if we give it a spotlight. And I do my best to limit the number of spotlights in any build, particularly a base, because of the issues that come with having lots of point lights. But in this case, I think since it's only one of them, it should be okay. And I'm probably not going to end up having them in every other hangar. And also, this is how it looks now, which looks pretty dang cool. Yeah, that's totally worth it. That is totally worth it. Nice. Nice. Never mind me getting distracted by that. It was just a little thing I wanted to do. So rather than do this whole hookup now, I'm actually going to leave that for another day, since I want to move on to something a bit more interesting. And that more interesting thing is setting up some automated safety doors for our elevator shaft. And what I mean by that is grabbing a door now. I think I'm going to use these industrial offset doors from Ikester's pack, even though their sound is somewhat broken. I'm going to use them because their offset fits nicely into the wall design, both here and upstairs for the elevator. So with that door in place, what I want to have happen is, as the elevator arrives, these doors open, and I said that as they closed. So as it arrives, they open, and then as it leaves, they close, so that anytime we walk up to this and the elevator isn't here, there are doors in our way. Now to do that, what we're going to need is hopefully enough radio components are made, because we're actually going to use some sensors. I can't remember which balance of stuff it is we need for those. So the way to do this is, let's weld up this block. Let's grab some, do I want that to be interior wall? Let's just make it a light armor block for now. And on this light armor block, we will place a sensor. Sensors are a bit picky. They don't like to be, even as part of a station, embedded in even the tiniest amount of rock. So I have to get rid of that bit there, I think. Yeah, there we go. So now we can place the sensor down. So there we go. Sensor's in. Now, before we start setting it up, let's name our door. So this door is going to be elevator, hangar, door. And that way we'll be able to find it as we set this up. So what we want with our sensor is the smallest range we can so that it uses up the least power possible. Bottom extent doesn't need any. Top extent does need a little, and I think 4 might be enough. Back extent doesn't need any, and front extent shouldn't need to be big either. And we're going to have this set up not to detect players, but to detect subgrids. So as the elevator car comes into the sensor range, it will activate it. And that's because the elevator is a subgrid of the station. And what we're going to do is set up our actions so that they trigger this first to open. So that's on entry to the sensor. And on exiting the sensor's range, it will close. And let's just show this on HUD to make sure that the field range is what we wanted. So what I want it to do is about that. I could probably even make the top end shorter because the bottom of the car will get into it. But right now, how much is this using? 814 watts. I think that spotlight might be using more than that. Don't think it says though. In fact, what we can do with this though is reduce this down to 20. Because it does not need to be that big. Is that still looking... get through the door. Is that still looking alright? Yes. Not quite as crisp. But it works. Okay. Now, what we need to do is test to see if the car is going to trigger it. Fortunately, we can see a little bit of this. So let's call the car down. In fact, let's even close these doors to see if it'll trigger them properly. Okay, the car's coming in. And there we go. Doors open as it arrives. We hop on. And I assume that the doors are closed because I forgot that I wouldn't really be able to see what's going on. Time to jump out. And doors are shut. Yes. So now we've got to do the same with the top end. And this one's a little bit more difficult. Because we've got all these pistons and all of them are subgrids, we don't want to pick one of them up. We only want to pick up the car itself, or at least one of the subgrids that's close enough to the car that everything will trigger at the right time. What I think we might do though is... I wonder if we could get away with drilling a tiny bit more out. We drill there and there. Is that okay? Yes, good. I have not drilled through the ceiling. So what I want to do here is place in a... there? Yeah, I can place one in there. So I can place that there, that block there, and now on it I can place the sensor. So this sensor will be able to have its range extended down to where these blast door blocks are, which will work nicely. Okay, So for this sensor, let's show it on HUD. What we want is left minimal, right minimal, bottom to be probably 4. Is as far as we'll need. Top doesn't need to be anything, back doesn't need to be anything, and front doesn't need to be much at all. And then you can see the shape of that, and it does go down to where this blast door block is, so that's good. And now, like the other one, turn off detect players, turn on detect subgrids, and set up actions. Whoa, we probably need the door first before I can set up any actions. So we do not have a door up here yet. So we'll build in that door, and then we'll set up the actions the same as the bottom. And then we'll have automatically opening and closing doors top and bottom, which is great. Safety doors. Something else I want to do for this hallway. Right now these lights seem really dark, and I'm not sure whether I set them that way originally, but what I think we need to do is increase this radius up to 10. That looks much better. We'll do that for all 3. That's just a little distraction because as I was walking back and forth through here, getting all of the components for the door, it was driving me a little bit nuts that this was all so dim. There we go. That feels more like what I remember it being. There are a couple of little bugs with lights at the moment, and I'll demonstrate one in just a second after we set up our sensor for this door. So rather than digging through everything, let's just hop on here. And let's name this sensor elevator upper. And it will do stuff for a door that I haven't named yet. Name the door. Come on, Splitsie. Do stuff in order for once. This will be elevator door upper. Don't really know what to call this floor other than either ground floor or upper floor for the time being. So, door. Elevator door upper. Open and closed. Perfect. And now, we should see the same thing. If I trigger our elevator sensor, there we go, those doors are shut. As the elevator goes away. Ha! Yes! We have safety doors. Excellent. The last thing I do want to do for this elevator is rather than have a call button, I would love to set up a sensor. But I haven't really decided how I'm going to set that up yet. It's probably going to need to be up in the ceiling somewhere and connect and sense all of this area around here. So anytime I walk past here, the elevator car will move up towards where I am and then do the same thing down on the lower floor so that anytime I walk around down in this area here, and that is a downside of this system. Anytime I walk in around here, it'll bring the car down. So I don't need a call button because the elevator will automatically come to wherever I'm at. Even if I'm not going to take it, it will just sit there until I need to move. But I haven't got a good idea of how to integrate that with the roof just yet. So I'll have to think about that one. That lighting bug I was talking about. Let's go up to the bunker. And I'm pretty sure both of those by this angle. Yeah, I reckon those are both crashed, so we're okay. Let's get some lights. That's really dark. So if you guys recall, I set up the offsets on these corner lights so that the side of these consoles didn't get lit up. Well, it didn't stick. There is a bug at the moment that keeps resetting the offset when you reload. So I'm not going to be playing around with offset until I know that's fixed, since it's going to be frustrating if we have to keep resetting it, or if we fiddle around and try and make something perfect with it and then it all breaks anyway. Which is sad, but hopefully it will get fixed. I haven't seen any new enemies come in for a while. I wonder if somehow we're not triggering, or if these two... I wonder if there's a limit to how many can be spawned by an antenna. if it does any checks. I don't think it does. I thought it was unlimited. You could just keep spawning them and spawning them and spawning them. Oh, that's Cliff. It's kind of scary to fly down here at night. Aha. Now that I made it safely back home, let's head upstairs because we're going to be upgrading the server room in preparation for getting our garage door opener in. And that's actually going to be coming tomorrow. And that's because this recording ended up being way too long for one episode. So I'm going to give it to you piece by piece. So I'll see you tomorrow.